Well, hello YouTube, this is Chuck, and it's Wednesday, June 12th, and 2024, around 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and got a quick update video for you. This is going to have to do with my prostate cancer, and it's another installment, if you will, to talk about the journey. And yesterday, I went down for my 1-year follow-up, down with my cancer doctor down in the Metro Phoenix area. And it's at a place called the MD Anderson Cancer Center in Mesa, Arizona. And I had my surgery down there. And my surgery was actually, the 1-year anniversary was actually a couple weeks ago in late May. But this is the first chance I've had to get down there to see the doctor. You know, those guys are busy down there. And so this was the 1-year follow-up. And of course, they do the testing and this sort of thing, and to determine whether or not everything's still good. So I don't keep you in any suspense. Yeah, they did the testing and came back no evidence found. So I'm free. I'm cancer free. But I did want to talk a little bit more about maybe how they do that a little bit and some of the changes that have occurred over the past year. And this will probably be the last video that I'll make regarding my prostate cancer experience. So I'm going to kind of do a little bit of a recap. So it's been like 3 years ago initially. I have a urologist. I have a kidney stone issue, and so I go to the urologist usually once a year to make sure I'm not developing kidney stones. And it's diet related. Those of you, if you may have a kidney stone problem, number one, you know how painful it is when to pass one. And the first time I started, when I first had the first big time problem with them, they actually had me catch one. And the way they catch them is you got a little thing that looks like a little cone paint filter thing. And they give you that, and you pee through that, and it'll catch the stone. And so they sent it away and had it analyzed. And what they told me at the time was that my body makes a lot of calcium, and it was reacting to the acid in tea products, because I drank iced tea by the gallon. We down at the fire station, we'd make sun tea and sit it outside, especially this time of year when it's hot. Make good sun tea, and I almost always had a big thing of iced sun tea on my desk. Well, that was reacting with the calcium in my body, and it was giving me kidney stones. So the first thing I had to do is I had to quit drinking tea. So I don't drink any tea products, and I've had a little bit of problem off and on over the years with that, and there have been a couple times I had to be hospitalized for kidney stones. I never had to have the sound thing they do to bust them up. They always managed to hydrate me and to the point where eventually I'd pass them. But I can tell you that there's been some times it's been pretty darn uncomfortable. So anyway, that's what, as a part of that, I know I'm getting off track and I don't mean to do that, but as a part of that, the way they do a blood test, it's called PSA. And PSA is prostate specific antibody. And if you have inflammation in your prostate, it shows up as a PSA. Well, prostate cancer is real common in old guys, and it has to do, I think, a lot of the modern world we live in and the chemicals and all that kind of stuff. But it's really common in former firefighters. All the junk we breathed over the years and all the stuff we absorb through our skin and all that kind of stuff shows up later. There's a whole package of cancers, and one of the most common ones is prostate cancer. And I've actually got, one of the guys who used to work with is going through it right now. He just got diagnosed here, and he decided to take the radiation route. Well, I did a whole series of videos about my decision-making process, and you can go back and watch all that if you wanted to. But I decided not to go with the radiation. And I finally narrowed it down to two choices. And one choice was to just not do anything about it. And, you know, it's normally a slow-growing cancer, and kind of put it in the Lord's hands and see how long he wanted me to live. And the other alternative, of course, would be surgery and having the darn thing taken out. Well, I got kind of prompted to go ahead and go with the surgery. And there's a video about that. You can go back and look at that. And it's pretty dramatic, and, you know, you may not believe it, but that's fine. It happened. But anyway, so a year ago in late May, I had the surgery. It was done through what they call the Da Vinci method, which is a robotic deal where they stick some little probes in you just poke a bunch of little holes in there, and then they fill your abdomen full of CO2 gas to give them some room to work in there, and turn you upside down to try to keep all your intestines and stuff from, use gravity to keep all that stuff out of the way so they can work. And the only incision you have to make is about 1.25 inches long, and it's physically big enough to get the prostate out. So, well, they did that. It's quite a complicated thing, and but it's done in one day, and they kept me overnight because I had a little reaction to one of the meds they gave me, and then by the time I got over the reaction, it was getting pretty late in the day, and so they were going to kick me out same day, but I had a 75-mile drive home and decided it might be a better thing to just keep me overnight and send me home the next day. So that's what they ended up doing. But anyway, so now it's a little bit over a year later, and so how am I doing now? Well, number one is the way they test, and the way they tested yesterday is they go looking for that PSA. Well, if you had your prostate removed, you don't have a prostate, so there's nothing to put out the PSA, nothing to give you a PSA. And the only way it'll do that is if they accidentally miss some of it or something. But my PSA came back undetectable, which is exactly what they're looking for. You almost never get these cancer people. You never get them to say that you're cancer-free, but when they come back and say that your PSA was undetectable, when it comes to prostate cancer, well, that's a home run right there. Well, ever since my surgery, every time I've come down here for a follow-up and they've done the blood test, my PSA's come back undetectable. So it's a year later. Now, I actually thought they were going to kick me loose and tell me sayonara, that they never need to see me again. But they say that they want to monitor me for another year. And so I'll be back again a couple more times for this coming year is over with. But I probably won't make videos about that because there's probably not going to be anything to report. So how am I doing medically? Well, I'm probably 99% back to where I was. I have no after effects whatsoever, save one little annoying thing. And that's what the 1% is. And to explain that, your prostate has a muscle in it, which is the sphincter control for your bladder. And so that's what holds your urine in. And so when they take the prostate out, of course, you lose that. Well, there's another little sphincter down in what they call your pelvic floor. And that's a muscle as well. And so you do what they call Kegel exercises to strengthen that little muscle because it has to take over the job of bladder control. Because if it doesn't do that, of course, then you dribble. And so, yeah, I had to wear Depends for a while. And, I don't want to I'm going to try to be delicate about this. I don't want to get into TMI territory. But anyway, so what you do is they have a pattern of exercises that you do to strengthen that pelvic floor muscles. And you train it so it takes over. Well, so I did all that. And so what ended up happening is that the muscle's plenty strong enough. That's not an issue. It probably was strong enough at the very beginning, but I did the exercises like they told me to, and some of them are kind of goofy. But anyway, I got that strong enough to hold that in, and I can hold that without any real problem. So having the muscle strong enough is not a problem. Holding your urine in is not a problem either. What the problem is training that silly little thing to remember to do it on its own so you don't have to think about it. And that's where I still have a little bit of an issue. It's not real bad, but it's, I went back to normal underwear, but I still wear pads and once in a while, and it has to do with, it's almost, I guess the best way to describe it, and to try to do it delicately, is that muscle, for the most part, it knows what its job is. And I think, but every once in a while, it lets its mind wander and looks out the window or something and forgets what it's supposed to be doing and lets the little dribble go through. And it's not the end of the world. It is kind of an irritation. And I don't know if that's ever going to get fixed. It's gradually getting better. And I've noticed, especially since the 1 year mark has passed, it seems like it's a little better. But if I lift something heavy, or if I step over something, or if I sneeze, or if I cough, or even if I'm just, like I say, the little guy loses his attention. You know, his attention span may not be quite what it should be, and every once in a while he lets his mind wander and forgets what he's supposed to be doing, and it'll let a little bit through, and you know it right away. You immediately know it, and so it's a, you know, and it might not even. For a lot of old guys have that, and old gals have that too. And, you know, some of it's probably a function of age. So anyway, that's my only lingering after effect. And like I say, it's not the end of the world. It's a little irritating at times, but it's not the end of the world, and it's not really a huge amount. It's not a big deal, but it is there, and it's something that, you know, obviously when I was a younger person, didn't have that. And so, you know, maybe I'm being overcritical, but that's my only lingering after effect of my surgery. Obviously, you know, if you don't have a prostate, you can't have a PSA, and I don't, and that's absolutely great. If you watch any of my earlier videos about this, when they did the biopsy, and the biopsy is an ugly thing too, you know, and I'm not even going to tell you about this, too gross. But anyway, the biopsy showed me, on a scale, it showed me what they call a Gleason score, and my Gleason score was such that it indicated that it was not a real aggressive type of cancer. In fact, initially my surgeon had suggested that we wait a little while before we do the surgery, and I kind of talked him out of it because I wanted it over with. But when they took my prostate out and they actually sent it to the pathologist, and they actually did the pathology on it, it came back to be in a more aggressive form. And my surgeon actually called me up on a Sunday and told me that I made the right decision to have it taken out. And of course, my theory is that, you know, as soon as that thing was clear out of my body and it was in that little stainless steel dish on the table next to me, I knew it couldn't hurt me anymore. And I knew as long as if I went through the radiation and all that kind of stuff, I knew there was always a chance of it coming back. But if they took that little son of a gun clear out of there and it was gone, there was absolutely no chance it was coming back, because you ain't going to grow another one. So I think my decision was correct. I've had a couple of people that went through the radiation that told me that if they had it to do again, they'd do the same thing I did. So I don't know if any of you out there are getting ready to fight this fight now, but my suggestion would be, you know, it's never going to get any easier. The cancer is never going to get any smaller. You're never going to be any younger. And so my suggestion to you is think real serious if you happen to make that decision, is to go ahead and get it taken completely out of your body. And because, like I said before, once it's gone, it can't hurt you anymore. So I've actually run a little bit longer on this video than I really intended on, and I just shot a different one, a Bigfoot video, and I'm actually going to upload this one first. And so anyway, I'm doing well. I'm pretty good, doing pretty good for my, I guess for my age, and I talk to a whole lot of people that are younger than I am that aren't as fit and able to do what I do on a day-to-day basis, and I thank the Lord for that. I think that you know, all the glory belongs to Him, and I'm just kind of along for the ride. So, as I always tell you, take care of each other, love each other, pay attention to your health. Especially when we get older, we start having these little things go wrong with us, and we're not 25 anymore. And so, I guess until I talk to you again, best thing to do is just tell you, take care of each other. It's a wonderful life. There's a lot of life to live out there. So until I talk to you again, I'll just tell you, peace out.